Welcome to the Thrive Show. My name is Kim O'Neill, and today I have with me here Stephanie Lora Bearce. Stephanie is an anxiety and empowerment coach who helps female entrepreneurs overcome anxiety and fear while up-leveling their life and business. Welcome, Stephanie.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. So I'm going to get right into it, and I'm going to first ask you, in general terms, where does anxiety and fear come from, and how do we get rid of those?
So anxiety can come from a lot of different places, it seems, and it can be hard for people to sort of nail it down. And really, the main place that anxiety stems from is actually the core beliefs that we formulate in childhood. We come up with the majority of our understanding in our earliest years of life because all we have is the world around us. And so everything is constructed from that. And when things don't quite make sense or add up when we're older to the core beliefs we made when we were maybe 4, 5, 7, triggers can come in and actually start to cause anxiety, upset the body when they don't really align to what we have with those core beliefs anymore. But what happens is people don't understand they have the core beliefs happening, so they don't really understand where their triggers are, and then that's when it can really become a problem.
That is such a great explanation, connecting the dots from the past to the present. Oh, I love that. Okay, so what would you say are some things a person might unknowingly do that reinforces or increases their anxiety or fear?
So anytime that a trigger comes along, especially if they don't know what a trigger might be for them, that can actually just build up more and more and more. Because when we suppress the things that, the emotions that we don't want to feel, the things that we're uncomfortable with facing or dealing with, when those get suppressed, every time something new comes up that's similar to that, it basically knocks over a jar that's full of it, and we can feel it more intensely within our body every time that happens, because our emotions are everything, but they can be really overwhelming to feel sometimes.
That sounds like definitely a trigger experience for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, you talk about the importance of normalizing the experience of feeling, and I love that. Will you talk to us more about that and how it helps someone in releasing those heavier emotions?
Absolutely. As humans, we are designed to feel, but what happens is we can put labels on emotions like good, bad, positive, negative, and then the ones that have that lower sort of frequency, the negative and the low ones, we often try to avoid feeling because no one wants to feel angry,
Right.
sad, grief, annoyed. Those aren't fun. But the problem becomes when we try to resist feeling them at all and stop understanding that, one, it doesn't say anything about you, whatever it is that you feel, because a lot of times anger will pop up and people will say, oh, well, she's angry, or it's not okay that he's crying, or, all those different things that we think that emotions say about us. Normalizing the experience is really just understanding that you're going to feel the full gamut of emotion, all of it over the course of your life, and that's okay, as well as learning to just let emotion flow through you. So when I was talking before about suppressing things within our body, that's when we stop it and we try to say, nope, I'm not angry, I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine. Which actually sparks more anxiety and more overwhelm in the body when we're trying to fight those feelings that want to flow through. And so it's really about the idea of allowing it to flow through you, understanding that no emotion, not even the good ones, and I put quotes because I like to remove labels from everything. It's the healthiest thing that you could possibly do for yourself is to just not live a life under labels and putting things in boxes. Even the good ones aren't going to last, but that doesn't mean they're not going to come back. So it's supposed to be in a flow, and that's really what it's about.
Well, I love that because a lot of times there can be this perception of, oh, I'm angry, I'm not supposed to feel that. That's a bad emotion. Like just what you were just saying, just the reverse of it though, right? Like this is a bad emotion. I'm not supposed to feel angry. So I got to transition away from that.
Yeah, and that happens a lot actually in a lot of like the light worker sort of new age type communities. There's this idea of, searching for love and light. And yes, those are wonderful things to be feeling. However, when you don't acknowledge the other half of that spectrum and you feel like you're only supposed to be positive all the time, that's where that discrepancy can happen. And we end up triggering all those old emotions, kind of like knocking out all of those old core beliefs that we formed when we were little, like it's not okay to be sad, you're
Right.
supposed to be positive. That's where the anxiety comes from, is when we knock into all of those with our daily actions.
Whew. Well, it sounds, love it. So it sounds like a lot of things we've been doing our whole lives can clearly contribute to the experience of course, having those heavier emotions, and which really does empower someone to know that they have the ability to improve this themselves.
Yes, absolutely.
Would you like to say a little bit more about that empowerment piece? Because I know that our emotions can feel like something that takes us more out of control, when really you're here to say that no, we have more control.
Yes, and we really do have so much more control than we give ourselves credit for. And when I say control, it's not about having a death grip on something and you've got to keep it this way, and like that's not what I mean by control. And I like to make sure I kind of address that, because control means different things to different people.
Right.
Control is more so understanding that by allowing a flow, which is actually more of a surrender, kind of surrendering to the moment, allowing yourself to be present and really just feel what's happening as it's happening. By surrendering, you get more control because you're allowing things to go through and knowing that you're going to be safe no matter what the experience is, no matter what's going on. And therefore, you actually take the control back from your anxiety, because you're not living your life kind of like wading upstream and fighting against the flow of the river, because that's exhausting and nobody wants to do that.
Well, and I can see how someone would be a little confused by that, and yet it makes total sense. It's almost as if you're saying, I'm not going to allow this emotion to control me. Therefore, I'm going to allow myself to, like you said, surrender and be in flow with it, and that's where you're reclaiming some of that power and control through
Exactly.
that. Yeah.
Yep. And understanding that you have the ability to surrender to it and to live in the moment. And when you do that, that's where all your power is, because anxiety is, they often say anxiety is living in the future and depression is living in the past, to like really dumb it down. I know there's obviously way more than that.
No, but that's great. That's very helpful, because I think for a lot of people, they can go, oh wait, yeah, I tend to be a little anxious, and oh yeah, I do keep wondering about these what ifs, or things that haven't yet happened. And same for depression in the past. So that's
Yeah,
great.
exactly. So taking your power back is really about learning how to surrender and just live in the moment and take things as they come. And there's such a grounded power to be found in that. And really nothing can affect you when you're living in the moment. And it's a beautiful thing.
That's awesome. That's very empowering belief. I love that. So now you have a simple, but I know very powerful exercise people can do right now to start to reduce their anxiety. Will you share that with us?
Yes. So my favorite technique that I teach, because it is so simple, is called radical acceptance. And what this is, it's a single sentence. And all it is right now I'm feeling blank. So this could be angry, anxious, upset, happy, whatever. And then at the end of it, you say, and that's okay. Because this ties back to normalizing that experience of emotion, which is why I threw happy in there too, because you don't just have to or you don't just need to focus on radically accepting the negative
Right.
that pop up. It's also about knowing that it's okay to feel happy, to feel joy, to feel passion and pleasure and tired, and all of those, like even kind of like middle emotions too. And so radical acceptance, when you are trying to learn to be more in the moment and also working on overcoming maybe some of those more intense emotions that can spark some anxiety for you, radical acceptance is incredible. And all you do is you just say it over and over and over again until you feel okay sitting in the moment with whatever it is that you're feeling. So, I have my clients sometimes think of like a scale in their head. And if say you start off at like a 7, I want you to say your radical acceptance statements, and it can be about a number of different emotions until you're at like a 2, and kind of visualize it that way.
Wow, that's awesome. I love that. Will you give everyone that phrase again? What's the phrase they can say to help them?
Right now, I feel blank, insert emotion, and that's okay.
Awesome. Stephanie, thank you so much for being here today and sharing your wisdom and expertise. It's been wonderful connecting with you and hearing how people can reduce those heavier emotions and yet be in total acceptance of them.
Thank you so much. It's been so wonderful to be here, and I really hope that this is helpful for someone.
Absolutely. And thank you to our audience today. We hope you found value in today's conversation.